Let's switch back into the game itself. And okay, so they actually went for a second game, and has the game ended altogether? That's kind of weird, but it really seems so. It may be that NCs have given up the game. Well, that's curious at this point. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Ah, okay, so they already called it. So yep, so I'm just going to correct the score real quick. So yep, that's going to be 1-0 for DmX. Dragon Master 6, that's score number 2 for 1, and that's quite surprising indeed, but I have to say, very well deserved, because, yeah, NCs did really choose the very greedy strategy that wasn't working at all, and well, let's right now see if they can finish on this other map that's going to be BCC 3 Fortress with Regicide. So will we see some surprise kills of the Kings? Well, we'll see soon enough, I guess. So Andorin is playing Mayan, Pedro is Spanish, Skittle is Chinese, and we see a mirror here with Shark is going Chinese, All Boys Mayan, and Ayuzi is going for Spanish. Okay, this is it, and we see some first lure of the bar right up to the TC, but well, careful, careful, the villager is almost dead. Yep, it was just at the last moment, and maybe Andorin was hoping for some slightly better beginning. But, yep, he almost lost the Willy right there. So let's put in the Fog of War to have a look what he has already scouted with his king and whatnot, having the second bar outside the gates here, so he will be having to lure it in also pretty carefully, and he is playing as what do we see here? Some gold between him and his ally, but in the forefront not really all that much, and I'm hoping that the stream is continuing. I have seen some problem with reconnecting here, but yeah, should be fine, and hopefully it is. You are right now seeing, just please confirm in the chat that everything is working fine. And I'm going to switch into another player from the NC team. That's going to be Pedro at this point. Pedro, as a Spanish, is also going for the stone for the gold here, which is also very nicely positioned, I have to say, because usually you see some kind of random bunch like this, but this is positioned absolutely beautifully in the one line, as you can just exactly place the mining camp like he did, and you will have a lot of spare room for the villagers to actually go all around, and this is going to be super efficient for him. And really, you just want to see this kind of spawn of the gold. This gold mine between him and his eye is very much safe as it can be. Very nicely positioned stone at the very back. And this cliff is kind of interesting as he's going to limit the possible routes for purple to actually attack him. So yeah, that's that relic, next relic next to him. So NCs seem to be having slightly better advantage in that, and players are advancing into Feudal Age at this point. So I'm just going to switch off the Fog of War to have a proper look around, and you can see that there was a bit of a lure happening here, as Purple was forced to actually fill the hole with his palisade wall, and otherwise stone outside the walls, but pretty much safe, as it's very close. The stone is not bad either. But he is having a kind of unfortunate spawn, because he's, yeah, really pressed against the wall, which means that he will be having all that much less space to safely boom, and he will have to wall pretty soon. And since he is kind of far away from his allies, from his ally Yuzi, who is playing in the pocket, he will be having to build quite a large wall from like here, I would expect, to here. And that's not really something that he wanted. Maybe there will be some secondary wall here, with the Wolfie making a bit of a nuisance of himself, but still he will have to develop out of his base, as this is most definitely not enough for what he would like. The pocket for the DmX, for the Dragon's Masters X, is Ayuzi at this point, playing as the Spanish, and well, he's right now dropping Market and Blacksmith, and of course rushing into the Castle Age, as is everybody else, and his base seems to be pretty much okay, even though he probably isn't all too happy about this gold, as it's going to be very easily raidable, and I'm kind of expecting that he will be going quite soon for some castle or any kind of protection. Since Skittle is going into field just now, he's probably booming, or rather slinging someone. I'm going to switch, for example, into Andorin. That would be kind of weird, slightly, I would say. Let's switch into achievements to have a look if some kind of sling is happening. Economy stats, no it isn't. So it's just Skittle being somehow very slow, taking it very slowly indeed, just now advancing into Feudal Age with 28 villies, so he will be probably hoping for some slightly better echo, because obviously this allows you to be having quite a lot of resources extra as opposed to the opponents, and he's hoping that he can survive long enough, building a market right outside of his base and trying to use those extra buildings as the wall in here so that he can secure this part of the map. He will also have to finish here, so hopefully he knows about that, and he wants to secure this stone and this gold more than anything else, as he will definitely be needing some extra castles for the Chukonus later on. Extra wall being finished here, and does he have Flume? No, he doesn't. Oh well, so that's actually going to be a pretty tough encounter with the wolf here. But not with Mayan's Eagle Warrior here, and he's probably waiting just for the encounter because it's definitely bound to happen. And with no loom for Skittle, yep, this would be a pretty disastrous for him, as he would lose this gal. So let's see how this is going to develop, if Pedro is going to actually help at the right time, or rather Andorin, and yes he is. Yep, they are taking care of the threat here, and very well played, and very nice team play right there. That could have been pretty bad indeed. This gold is not really ideal, as it's going to be very hard to gather from, so not really something I would be guessing that NCs will be all too keen to actually take care of. And looking how close blue with green are, I'm kind of thinking that they might be the ones that will be cooperating more, because obviously they are kind of in the same base and will be having easier time helping each other out. So second TC being built for Andorin. And has he finished some kind of wall here? Oh, he actually doesn't have to wall at all, because there's a tree line and a gold that is actually blocking it all together, and he has finished, just to be sure, with some extra one spots of the walls here. So yeah, very well played, and quite safe and sound defense for the new chapter. But he better be careful so that those villies don't actually cut out, which might be happening and might be a potential way and weakness in the defenses here. Nicely built wall, and hoping that this one tree is going to protect him as well, which it will, but still better be careful, because if this gets somehow cut down without his paying attention, there is a direct way inside his base, so potentially a problem, especially when we are on Regicide with the kings. Now, where is the king actually hidden? In this tower? Seems so. Oh, switching into Pedro. Yeah, in this tower. Okay, so it seems like to be pretty much the safest one of them all, even though there is a threat of those woodvillies, but still I'm kinda expecting that it won't be all that much of a problem, as he shouldn't be any kind of noob and should know what he's doing. And yep, this is exactly what we were saying earlier, and that's purple. Yeah, establishing a base outside of his walls. So right now he's trying to secure the gold, which is not all that safe at all. That's no safe at all, really. And he probably wants to finish the wall here, even though it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be useful for him. Next TC is next to the gold here, between him and his ally Ayuze, and I'm kinda still waiting for the wall to be finished here, and definitely they should, because if they don't, yeah, they will be very open to some kind of raiding or surprise attacks, and really I wouldn't take this chance, especially on a map like this that can be decided by some sneak attack on the back tower and killing the king. 1 TC for the Mayan of DmX, second, third. Okay, so that's a 3 TC boom for him. Another from DmX is yellow. That's, oh sorry, that's Kittle right now. He's having how many TCs? 3, 4. Okay, so that's 4 TC boom for Skittle yet again. So let's see if that won't be all too greedy as in the last game for Andorin. 1, 2, 3. 3 TC so far, it seems. Or 4th. 4 TCs as well. Okay, so 4 TCs here. And for Pedro we see 1, 2. Okay, it seems like 3 TCs so far. 3 TC so far, and a bit of a raid in here with Conquistadors, and he's trying to somehow force purple of this gold, which is somehow succeeding. He has killed already 2 villagers, and maybe will kill some extras, but not while Shorkis is actually paying attention right now, at least going for Loom, to make sure that those villagers are not dying as fast as they might be otherwise. So monastery being built, and that's an attempt obviously to actually make some monks and convert those conquistadors, which is a pretty good idea overall. And are they going to be shooting across the tree line? Yes, they will. Yes, they will, and so far it's reasonably safe if he can manage to actually avoid this tower, but he did kill at least 1 villager. And will he find something else? Well, what I'm kinda not liking at this point is this stone for him, because it's yet again going to be maybe abusable by those conquistadors, even though this kind of site is not all that close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tiles, whereas Conquistadors are having exactly 6. So potentially, yeah, this stone mine is not safe at all and might be slightly problematic for a DmX player, Shorkis. Monastery being built as well, so there's going to be also some kind of monks here. For Andorin, we don't see really anything extra. Going for a wheelbarrow, and well, yeah, we see quite a heavy boom from Skittle. Looking at the scores, we see that they are more or less equal, or equal. DmX are actually losing in the score here, so it seems like that NCs are booming quite hard, much better than their opponents. Looking at DmX, all three of them are having 53, whereas only Pedro is having 50. God damn it, 53 from New Chapter, and Andorin with Skittle are having 65 and 65. Oh yeah, both 65 at this point. Yep, they are much stronger at this point, and well, Pedro is still really attempting to somehow put Shorkis out of his position, and he is succeeding because still it means that those villagers on the gold are not gathering every few seconds. So pretty good job. And it seems like the relics are right now going to be captured by either yellow or some of his allies, maybe blue. Because yeah, he did have the monastery and it's maybe someone else building it as well. Andorin not, so yeah, that was just yellow signaling for Pedro, where all those relics are and where he should be going. So we are continuing with the boom. Wall is finished very nicely, and looking for something else. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 TCs still for red. And since they are not really attacking their opponents, they might really not be happy about the results here, because obviously those 4 TCs at this kind of map are going to make a difference, especially when the opponent is going for 3 and not really attempting to raid you or really doing anything aggressive against you. So it's basically just letting you boom better than they are. 1, 2, 3. 4th TC finally for at least the pocket for Dragon's Masters X. And relics definitely being right now collected by Pedro. 1, 2. Is he gathering something extra? He will be probably going for all of them. Yeah, he does. They're not really all that far away, especially with this one and the one on the left being basically in NC's power. And yet more raiding, and this is really just the answer to the problem that we were talking about slightly earlier, and that's DmX not walling at all. Looking at the NCs, they are walled quite nicely, and this is exactly what's basically disallowing any kind of early aggression for Dragon's Masters X. Whereas they are themselves very open to this kind of abuse from those conquistadors from Pedro, and Pedro is really making his presence count as much as he can. Right now advancing into Imperial Age, so he will be there pretty soon. And well, All Boys is also switching into Imperial as the pocket here, as the Mayan, so that's going to be quite interesting indeed if he's going to go for a lot of stone at this point, still gathering with just 2 villies and switching into a lot of castles, or if it's going to be Eagle Warrior spam. So far, not really seeing any kind of choice here. What it's going to be, just extra TC, and I heard Siege Workshop. And that's because Pedro is actually thinking about aggression here and switching into the unit that you usually see Spanish use. But for these relics, they generate extra gold, and especially when you have like all those 5 of them, it's actually a pretty decent trickle. It's not half bad, 8 at all. So yep, that's what they do. If you have a look at his stockpile on the top left, you will actually see the slight trickle, the 1 by 1, that's those relics. And you can see that it's not really slow at all. And he's having just 2, and he's probably gathering something extra. Yeah, he's gathering extras with those monks here, so yep, they should be super careful about all this. This seems like some kind of aggression from Red, or aggression. He's at least trying to scout around, and... Okay, this is very nice trap. This is a very nice trap, and this scout color is not going anywhere. So Shork is having slightly and not fun part of the game here, and well, will he be successful Andorin with this villager against this Eagle Warrior? I'm kinda thinking not, and he should be retreating, especially when the villager is already not full health. And well, looking at how Pedro is doing, and he's doing pretty well indeed, being in Imperial Age, the first of all players. Well, looking at all the others, all 3 from DmX are actually going to be advanced pretty soon. But here we see some kind of conversion, one of them converted safely. Pretty good job. And, well, it's still not enough, because Pedro is not giving up at all. And he is developing ever further. Ever further, but, oh, they're actually missing themselves. Pedro is developing here, whereas Shorkis is going for the south route. And this is really curious indeed. This is really curious indeed. They're absolutely unaware of each other, I would guess. Well, he should be seeing this. So, possibly, but he's probably not just thinking that something like this could be happening. Whereas Shorkis, yeah, he has no idea. He also should be seeing something there, but that's going to be it. And right now, outposts being built, and that's going to be way too late. And let's see how surprised he will be when he actually discovers what's happening here. Surprise! And even more so here. Yeah, and that's even more surprise. Okay. Yeah, I kinda think that the jaw of the purple player actually dropped at this point a little when he saw actually the upgrade into Cavaliers and whatnot and this kind of army, because he doesn't have anything at all, just a few Chukonus here, and yep, from one castle that's not going to be enough at all, and he doesn't have any kind of military buildings at all. That's literally just one castle, or second castle at least, and he is building at least a lot of villages to gather some extra stone, but he's way too late, because this attack is pretty strong indeed and very fast, or very fast. It's actually much faster than himself, which is all that is sufficient at this point. And, well, not good news for him at all, especially if Pedro plays this correctly, because I think he should just house him. Yeah, you can see a lot of houses here, and they are tightly packed one by one, so they will be easily killed by all those kept rams. And, well, finally help is arriving, but it's not really all that great. This is really going to result in a pretty much waste of time for Shorkis, because he was trying to finish the castle, and if it was finished, it was probably going to stop the aggression from Pedro, but due to the huge army of those Cavaliers and those Conquistadors as well, he was basically forced not to finish the castle, and right now he's in a pretty horrible position. So let's see if he can somehow get back into it. He's having a pretty decent amount of food, but very low on gold, and, well, let's see about that. A sling? I don't really think so. There wasn't really any sling at the very beginning. I'm going to really quickly check right now if there was some. Gonna miss that. Yeah, he was from Andorin. Okay, so he was right. He was right, and this is exactly the reason why Pedro is having such a huge upper hand against their opponents. Even though he wasn't advancing all that faster against them, he is having a huge amount of resources for both Cavaliers and Paladins right now, and that's really all that makes difference. And he will just wreck all those Knights or other Cavaliers from Teal, because, yeah, Paladins will be here pretty soon. And right now I'm kinda thinking that Pedro is trying to somehow make sure that he's safe, but let's have a look somewhere else. Well, this is a very interesting attempt here by Shorkis, by all boys, but it's kind of way too late, and especially looking at Skittle, who is very nicely boomed and prepared with the Chukonus, and even before those guys on the left could fully engage, the game has been decided on the right side in the encounter where Pedro basically deleted Shorkis from the game altogether. So this was vastly different from what we have seen on the first game. This time NC's really played up to par and really concentrated quite nicely, and this resulted in their very comfortable win. And this unfortunate timing of Shorkis' sneak actually on Pedro, which was slightly amiss from this one, which he wasn't aware of at all, really didn't do all that much damage on what he wanted. Just going around the map right now to finish things off. Andorin was trying to really wall the map in the middle. Yuzi was trying to capture this gold for himself, and that was pretty much it. Well, nicely played Sling here. Very nicely played indeed. So, let's check into the achievements. Let's check into the achievements with Pedro, of course, winning everything, because that's exactly expected when you are being slunk. But All Boys wasn't really far behind, or rather Skittle here, so it's not like he was all that better off through the sling, but still, it definitely helped him with the Cavaliers and fast Paladins, because that's, yeah, literally a ton of resources right there. And Skittle having pretty nice army, or rather economy. And in the end, the sling was even stronger than what we have seen in the past, or in the last parts of the game. You can see that it was maybe more of a sling at the very end when Pedro was advancing into the Imperial Age. So yeah, that's why he wasn't advancing as fast into Imperial or as faster as his opponents. So yeah, compared to his opponents.
Okay.
You can see those 24 minutes for everybody. There's half a minute difference, so not much of it there. But it allowed him to mass the army as fast as he did and surprise his opponent. Yeah, this amassment of the army, this is where the sling actually came in. Andorin having nothing. Even lost the scout here, obviously. GG then.